Hey guys, let's start today talking about garbage. Not just any garbage. Let's talk about Capitol Hill garbage. Let's talk about the garbage in Congress. Item from neonnettle.com. Controversial Democrat Representative Ilhan Omar has blasted President Donald Trump's America during an interview with a Middle Eastern magazine, declaring that living in, quote, ugly American society is, quote, an everyday assault, unquote. In an interview for Vogue Arabia published on Friday, the radical Minnesota lawmaker claimed that, quote, every day she is threatened and demonized due to the ugliness that she says is ingrained in the U.S. populace. Omar, 37, used the interview to criticize the United States and blast its people to the publication's Arabic audience, accusing President Trump of, quote, tapping into an ugly part of our society and freeing its ugliness, unquote. One correction, Miss Omar, it's not our society. This is not your society. You say that and you make it clear with everything that comes out of your mouth. You are hate-filled, you are anti-Semitic, you despise America, you can't stand Americans, and so no, it's not your society. You happen to be here, and you happen to have had enough stupid people vote for you to put you in Congress. But this is not your society. And allow me to echo the president's sentiments. If you're that ticked off about America, the door is over there. Get yourself an airline ticket. Go someplace else, any place else. But we don't need people in the government who hate our country. Item from PJ Media. Representative Omar said on Monday, Muslims should not be asked to condemn terrorists. In defense of his tweets over the weekend about a group of freshman lawmakers, President Trump criticized Omar specifically on Monday. Quote, I look at Omar, I don't know, I never met her. I hear the way she's talked about Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda has killed many Americans. She said you could hold your chest out. That's what Trump said at the White House after a Made in America product showcase. He continued, quote, when she talked about the World Trade Center being knocked down, quote, some people, you remember the famous some people? These are people who, in my opinion, hate our country, unquote. Well, if it was only Donald Trump's opinion, that would be bad. In fact, it's not an opinion, it's an observation, and it's held by tens of millions of Americans. I am sick to death. And by the way, if there's anyone out there stupid enough to say this has something to do with race, allow me to correct your stupidity. There are people who are whiter than white, total Caucasians, who also should receive an invitation to live elsewhere. I'm looking specifically at a lot of the knuckleheads running for the Democrat nomination for president. I'm looking at people in the media. They hate America. Okay, leave. Has nothing to do with your race. Has to do with the hatred in your heart. Has to do with the faulty thought process that makes you think you can find a better place than this to live, or that you don't owe the United States of America a debt of gratitude, that it's not worthy of your respect. If you believe that, and I'm talking to what's her name, that ugly blonde soccer player who won't bother standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, take your scrawny ass to another country, one whose national anthem you can respect. At the very least, if you have a grievance about America, well, that's between you and your psychiatrist. But at least keep the mouth shut. Related item from InfoWars. Illegal immigrants tell a local news reporter they came to the United States because they saw advertisements online, in newspapers and on TV, talking about the loads of free handouts that await them in the United States. Quote, they say if we come to the United States, we can find work, unquote. One man tells KGBT CBS 4 reporter Sidney Hernandez, who recently witnessed close to 300 illegals cross the border in a single night. Yes, said another illegal. We've been told that. We read it in our newspapers. That's why we're here. Hernandez says every illegal immigrant she interviewed says they came to the U.S., quote, because free American services and assistance are being advertised in their home countries, unquote. Folks, I invite you to call in 877-254-7524. Am I the only one who sees in those advertisements a statement, a declaration of war? They're telling people to go break our laws. Is that okay? Obviously it's not. Any country working against the United States, working against our laws, is an enemy. We need to take action against enemies, not just with press releases, and not even just with tariffs. I mean real action against enemies. Because, as long as you have there's nothing to fear, you'll continue to do what you're doing. It's only when your nose gets bloodied. It's only when you've got skin in the game that you can be made to stop doing what you've been doing. The people who put Ilhan Omar over the top in Minnesota were Somali immigrants. How, in the name of common sense, we let so many Somalis into this country, I still don't know. And they disgrace themselves by voting for someone only because of her / religion or race. Voting for another Somali only because she also hates America. Now, I want to know how many of those Somalis in Minnesota are getting free stuff from the government. They should also find another place to live, but they won't, because they're here and they're riding on the taxpayer gravy train. Well, that gravy train is sinking this country slowly, maybe not so slowly anymore. So those 4 women, we're going to hear a video about them in a couple of minutes. The squad, they're being called, they're disgraces. They're traitors. They need to leave the country. Don't care what their race is, they need to leave. And it's up to voters, up to Americans, to force them to leave at least the public stage by voting against them. And if we won't do that, then who says we even deserve a country? If we won't defend it, if we won't stand up for it against those who hate it, then maybe we just plain don't deserve it. It's Tuesday, and it's Real Truth. We'll be right back.
The energy crisis of the 70s, a lot of people panicked. We came up with a solution. That's the way it is. Save you money. That's the way to hear. And take your ass. That's the way to answer the wall cap. To your house. Deal with final with last. Your wall. The best way to perform it is that's the way to 43 years later, a lot has changed. A lot of our competition, a few things that happen, still family owned and operated, still developing. You're still safe. That's the way it founded in 1976. 303 469 0808 303 469 0808. Maybe staring out the window dangerously. Visit our website specializing in maintenance and install commercial residential property. We pride ourselves in our clean cut and approachable crews who efficiently and quickly detail the property. Visit our website at turfhavenlandscaping.com. Our install crew can transform your backyard into the outdoor living space all this weekend. Call me, Brian, at 970-460-TURF for a free walkthrough and estimate where we can meet and discuss the best options for your landscaping needs. Family owned and locally operated. We've been serving Northern Colorado for over 18 years. Thank you for your support and supporting KHS.
All right, guys, let's kick it off. Howard Real, Real Truth, author of Real Truth, Stay Angry. You can get it at virtualbookworm.com. New evidence, says Glenn Beck, of Ilhan Omar's immigration and tax fraud. Interesting, eh? Here's Glenn Beck. Let's hear what he has to say.
Now, see if this sounds like a big story to you. A current member of Congress may have married her brother for immigration purposes and tax purposes, and then lied about it. The same member of Congress also clearly violated federal and state tax law. Now, this isn't like super duper Hitler related. It's not. It's not coming from a conspiracy theorist website. No, no, no. It's coming from the post article Minneapolis Star Tribune. Now, Omar, the representative, the immunity here is apparently off the charts because the mainstream media will not go near this story. It's not that they don't care because they don't care about anybody else. They are making a conscious choice to stay away from this story because perhaps they're part of the squad. But let me give you the headline from the Minneapolis Star Tribune. New documents revisit questions about Representative Ilhan Omar's marriage history. Now, when the story first surfaced in 2016, that she may have married her own brother to avoid immigration laws, Omar called it baseless rumors. It's just crazy internet stuff. But last month, as the state of Minnesota invested campaign finance violations by Omar, it found that she had filed federal taxes in 2014 and 2015 with her current husband, Ahmed Kursi, even though she was before legally married to a different Ahmed with the last name of Elmi. So the two Ahmeds, and you're going to have to pay close attention here because there's two Ahmeds. Remember, there's Ahmed Kursi, her current husband, and Ahmed Elmi. Very hard to hold this. But from this point, I'm just going to put the last name of the two husbands, Kursi and Elmi. Now, this is how Omar's campaign furthers her marriage to. Listen to this. In 2002, when she was 19, Omar marries Kursi. That's her current husband. She marries Kursi. According to the Star Tribune, they married in their faith commission votes in Minnesota, which means, because it's the married in faith tradition, they didn't file any paperwork, so she wasn't officially married to him. Omar and Kursi were supported over the next years, but then they decided to divorce. Remember, they were never officially married. They just got a divorce in their faith tradition. Not a legal divorce, they weren't legally married. The following year, Omar now is 26, and she legally gets married to a different Ahmed, Ahmed Elmi. He's 23. So it was a 3 now. And this one, she doesn't want to marry in her faith tradition. She marries in the legal tradition. He's 23. She identifies him as a British citizen. According to the Star Tribune, Ahmed is a school record showing he went to high school in St. Paul and attended North Dakota State University. 2 years later, in 2011, Omar and Elmi divorced in their faith tradition. But I thought they were married not in the faith tradition, they were married in the legal tradition. But whatever that is, they decide not to legally divorce. In 2012, Omar gets back together with her first foreign husband, Kursi, to file her children. And they have a third child together. So she's also been married 7 months. Um, but got a divorce in the faith tradition, not really a divorce. Went back to her husband, whom she had a faith divorce.
By the way, folks, in Islam, once you divorce your husband and marry someone else, you cannot remarry your first husband.
She gets elected to visit the State House of Representatives. Now remember, she is
It sounds exactly like the kind of person you want serving in the federal government, right? Or does it sound like the kind of scam we hear about all the time being run by, let's be honest, by Muslims here in this country? You decide. What does Fox say? We report, you decide. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I smell smoke. Item from the Washington Post. Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz has promised a crackdown on radical Islam. On Friday, he announced that his government would shut down 7 mosques and could expel dozens of foreign-funded imams from the country. At least one of the mosques the government will close is said to be linked to Turkish nationalists, and the 6 others are run by a group called the Arab Religious Community. This is just the beginning, far-right Vice Chancellor Heinz Christian Strache said at a news conference on Friday. The move invokes a 2015 law banning religious groups from getting foreign funding, and the government suspects that as many as 60 imams may need to leave the country. Unquote. I have 2 questions. Number 1, why only 60? Number 2, this is the much more cogent question. Why is Austria smarter than America? Item from Breitbart. President Donald Trump on Tuesday said the far-left Democrat squad, quote-unquote, has uttered some of the most, quote, vile, hateful, and disgusting things ever said by a lawmaker on Capitol Hill, and party leadership is unwilling to take them on due to the fear of the radical left. The president wrote on Twitter, quote, the Democrat congresswomen have been spewing some of the most vile, hateful, and disgusting things ever said by a politician in the House or Senate, yet they get a free pass and a big embrace from the Democratic Party. Horrible anti-Israel, anti-USA, pro-terrorist, and public shouting of the F word, among many other terrible things, and the petrified Dems run for the hills. Unquote. Folks, if you're listening to me now and you're a Democrat, maybe you don't hate Israel. Maybe you don't hate America. Maybe you're not a vile bag of obscenities. But by supporting the Democrat Party, you're supporting all of those things. By defending a piece of trash like Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib or Ocasio-Cortez, you're defending that kind of swill here in America. How long do you think the America you love, or at least that you live in, will continue to exist the way it does now when pieces of trash like that sit in Congress? Switch parties. Vote Republican from now on. Or if you can't bring yourself to vote Republican, then just stay home. But stop supporting a political party that despises you and your country. Item also from Breitbart. Senior doctors in the Welsh capital of Cardiff have reported a rise in, quote, punishment stabbings, unquote, designed to maim their victims, and that they're dealing with knife wounds almost every week. Speaking to the BBC, Dr. James Dunn of the University Hospital of Wales in the regional British city said hospital staff were seeing, quote, people stabbed in limbs over arteries, unquote, in attacks reminiscent of, quote, the days of punishment beatings in Northern Ireland and kneecappings, unquote. My friends, punishment stabbings, the very calling card of Islam. And just wait until they come to your neighborhood. Item from Fox5NewYork.com, Dateline, Philadelphia. Philadelphia police say a carjacking suspect has died after he allegedly stole a car with 3 children inside and was chased down by their parents Thursday night. The incident occurred just after 9 p.m. at 29th and Dauphin Street in Strawberry Mansion. I used to live in Philly. I know where that is. Investigators say the 54-year-old suspect stole a car with 3 children inside, chased down by the children's mother and her 25-year-old boyfriend. The pair eventually caught up with the car and pulled the suspect out of the driver's seat. Unquote. The driver was killed. Thank God. One less cancer cell that the world has to deal with. Item from Breitbart. Deporting the roughly 11 to 22 million illegal aliens living across the United States saves American taxpayers hundreds of billions in public costs and analysis finds. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, is expected to conduct a mass deportation. Okay, they did this already. Turned out not to be a mass deportation, unfortunately. But there's no doubt, no question whatsoever, everybody agrees that with all the illegals in this country, American taxpayers are giving up hundreds of billions of dollars that could be spent on healthcare, bringing healthcare costs down, on infrastructure, on securing the border, on helping the environment. Could be giving people discounted college fees. But no, we're spending it on people who come here breaking our laws, intending to sap us and suck us dry from all the free stuff that we give them. Item from the Sun: an IT worker revealed how he hacked off his own penis and testicles with an ultra-sharp knife in a gruesome bid to become a genitalia-free, quote-unquote, nullo or nullo. Trent Gates, 23, from Washington, D.C., cut off his blank in April 2016 after being inspired at the age of 15 to remove his sex organs by pictures of another castrated man, unquote. This is why such outrages should not be permitted, because impressionable kids like this, age 15, see it, are influenced by it, and ruin their lives. This is why. We'll be back.
Tax season, traffic, bills, or just plain cabin season. I'm fly fishing on Flat River. By Brian Hancock. 70460. Servicing the full North Flat River from 118 in. 4 hours north of Denver, 1 hour west of Cal. Book a trip at dropgamers.com for follow up 7046088. They're vegan and friendly, approximately 8 hours on the trip to Florida down to Phoenix, North Flat River. Prices include in-season flies, all gear, watches for 2 importers. Call about discounts for best service to the agency. Before hiring a realtor from a big corporation who outsources their jobs to pay little or no taxes, ask yourself, what do you really want in a realtor? You need a realtor who's honest and has integrity. A realtor who's focused on the client's bottom line, not the realtor's bottom line. Who provides personable, over-the-top service before, during, and after the transaction. You want a realtor that knows how to market your property. Hi, I'm James Morgan, a realtor with Grisham and Associates LLC. I am your Colorado real estate specialist. Land deals, mountain cabins, or urban dwellings, I've got you covered. For the first-time home buyer, we will make it the best experience. If you are looking to move up or downsizing, we will do better than your last transaction. Call me today at 720-203-0731 or visit coloradoproperties.online. Let me do a great job for you. is pleased to help support the American Freedom Network by offering a high-quality custom construction service. Established in 1990, Forever Construction has been with high-quality deck and websites across Forever Construction all along the coast of California, with licensed insured and experience, knowledge, and skills to help you create the outdoor living of your dreams. For your free consultation and obligation book, give Doug a call at 303-517-8742 or visit us on the web at foreverconstruction.com.
My friends, we're living in very strange times. There's so many people out there telling lies about Donald Trump. I mean, lies about just about everything you can think of that matters, but especially about Donald Trump. So many people broadcast worldwide by the dishonest media, the fake news media, so many people saying lies about President Trump. It's actually amazing. Well, I don't like lies. I prefer truth. If I like lies, I would have called my radio show Real Lies. It's real truth because I like truth. Truth straight from the horse's mouth. Here is President Donald Trump. Listen to this video and it will remind you all over again why you voted for him.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The Washington establishment and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. Our campaign represents a true existential threat like they haven't seen before. This is not simply another four-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization that will determine whether or not we, the people, reclaim control over our government. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories and our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation, and this will be our last chance to save it. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy, but are in fact controlled by a small handful of global special interests rigging the system, and our system is rigged. This is reality. You know it, they know it, I know it, and pretty much the whole world knows it. The Clinton machine is at the center of this power structure. We've seen this firsthand in the WikiLeaks documents, in which Hillary Clinton meets in secret with international banks to plot the destruction of U.S. sovereignty in order to enrich these global financial powers, her special interest friends, and her donors. Honestly, she should be locked up. The most powerful weapon deployed by the Clintons is the corporate media, the press. Let's be clear on one thing. The corporate media in our country is no longer involved in journalism. They're a political special interest, no different than any lobbyist or other financial entity with a total political agenda, and the agenda is not for you, it's for themselves. Anyone who challenges their control is deemed a sexist, a racist, a xenophobe. They will lie, and then again, they will do worse than that. They will do whatever is necessary. The Clintons are criminals, remember that. This is well documented. And the establishment that protects them has engaged in a massive cover-up of widespread criminal activity at the State Department and the Clinton Foundation in order to keep the Clintons in power. They knew they would throw every lie they could at me and my family and my loved ones. They knew they would stop at nothing to try to stop me. Nevertheless, I take all of these slings and arrows gladly for you. I take them for our movement so that we can have our country back. I knew this day would arrive. It's only a question of when. And I knew the American people would rise above it and vote for the future they deserve. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. The only people brave enough to vote out this corrupt establishment is you, the American people. Our great civilization has come upon a moment of reckoning. I didn't need to do this, guys, believe me. I built a great company, and I had a wonderful life. I could have enjoyed the fruits and benefits of years of successful business deals and businesses for myself and my family, instead of going through this absolute horror show of lies, deceptions, malicious attacks. Who would have thought? I'm doing it because this country has given me so much, and I feel so strongly that it's my turn to give back to the country that I love. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again.
My friends, compare that with the diarrhea that comes out of the mouths of the Democrats these days. It becomes a no-brainer. Item from studyfinds.org, Dateline, New York. Feeling bored all too often lately? It seems many folks might need to get out a bit more and inject some fun into their lives. A survey of 2,000 Americans finds that for the average adult, more than 1/3 of the year is spent mired in boredom. My friends, you wouldn't feel very bored if someone were holding a gun to your head, or if someone were holding a gun to your kids' heads. Well, guess what? Someone is. It's the Democrat Party. Still feel bored? Item from Breitbart. U.S. President Donald Trump's administration would be siding with autocrats and roiling the Middle East if it joined several Islam countries in designating the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization, the New York Times argued this week. Folks, leave it to the New York Times always to rush to the defense of terrorists, of enemies of America. The ultra-liberal New York Times, which covered up the Holocaust back in the 40s, and which can't say a decent word about anything Republicans do, now they're defending the Muslim Brotherhood. What next? What next? If you're still reading the New York Times, don't. You will gain nothing from it. We'll take a break and we'll be back with more real truth.
They're all pretty much really
All right, guys, welcome back to Real Truth. You know, I had a choice. I was going to listen to Representative Chip Roy destroy Democrats in Congress because he points out correctly that they're keeping the United States from safeguarding its border. But since everybody's talking about these 4 chicks in Congress who are whiners and complainers and looking to play the race card and be victims and all that stuff, since everyone's talking about that, let's talk about it. Here is Kellyanne Conway, advisor to the president, on Fox News. This is from it's from today, from earlier today. Here's Kellyanne Conway.
It's time for our headliner this morning.
Yeah, the reason Washington is talking about this is because Washington doesn't want to take action on real issues. A lot of Congress has been embarrassed by Trump into taking some action, but believe me, they don't want to do anything about the border. They'd much rather scream about Trump because then people smile at them. Of course, they'll bring about the destruction of the United States, but they don't care.
It does, Sandra. That's what Washington does. It's too hard to figure out the substance. I'm one of the people working on drug pricing and healthcare here, a big team at the White House. It's going incredibly well. We are upset that 28 million Americans, 10 years after Obama lied to the country, you can keep your doctor, you can keep your healthcare, lied to the country, let that lie fly. Everybody else talk about adoring and afraid of somebody, and you let that lie fly. 20 million Americans have no health insurance. Medicare for all would bankrupt this country and would have us all waiting in line for care like those veterans were 5 years ago this month, waiting and dying for care in Arizona. That's what we're focused on here.
To be clear,
we're
Kellyanne, does
focused on
the
reducing
president
drug
stand
prices.
by his tweet? Does he stand by it? Does he regret anything? Does he wish he would have
The
said
president has
something
explained
Now,
different?
folks, take careful note of this. You know, I respect Fox News. I watch it every day. But here, On the one hand, these Fox hosts are saying everyone's talking about Trump's tweets. And the next, they're asking about Trump's tweets. So they're doing what they're pointing the finger at other media outlets for doing. Why are they asking about this? Kellyanne Conway's talking about bringing drug prices down. Why aren't they asking about that? Well, I can tell you that. I can answer that question. Because they want ratings. Lower drug prices may be great for tens of millions of Americans, maybe hundreds of millions, but it's not sexy. It's not clickbait. Fox News, like every outlet, they want ratings. If people are in a furor about what the president tweeted, then that's what they're going to talk about, and that's where they fall down in their responsibility. Because Democrats don't care about anti-Semitism. Because Democrats don't care about America. Democrats care about Democrats. Period. And that's why a piece of sludge like Ilhan Omar can make anti-Semitic remarks and the Democrats will do nothing. And if you're a Democrat voter, then you are a part of that. That pollution stains you too. Don't think for a minute it doesn't. We'll be right back.
Square root construction is linked to help support the American Freedom Network by offering a high-quality web-based construction service. Set up in 1990, Square root construction is predicted thanks to flexibility focused all along the middle of the country. Your licensed insured and have the experience, knowledge, and skills to help you create the outdoor living and live your dreams. For your free consultation and application quote, give Doug a call at 303-517-8742 or visit us on the web at squarerootconstruction.com. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tom Phil. You know something Americans does what we do. Our health and nutrition profile is a free 1-hour interview from our counselor. We're looking for green, exercise, education, environment you work in, food you ready, and your family. Everything that makes you a unique person. No one is exactly like you. Then we will suggest some food changes. Maybe you should add something to your diet. Maybe you should eliminate something from your diet. Then we suggest green herb products to supplement your diet. We usually suggest between 2 and 5 days. 60 capsules or 50. But remember, you're not obligated to purchase anything. Call us at 888-765-HERB. That's 888-765-4372. You're no obligation to purchase.
Join us and don't miss the fun of the Alex Jones Show, your number one source for independent media. Find out what the mainstream media doesn't want you to know. InfoWars is pro-America, pro-family, pro-freedom. We are legally 1776. Exclusive reports, live coverage, information you won't find anywhere else. Tomorrow's news today. Stay informed by listening to KHNC 1360 AM. The Alex Jones Show, KHNC, the heart of North Colorado.
Item from Fox News: disturbing footage of Muslim kids saying they would sacrifice themselves and kill for the, quote, army of Allah surfaced from an Islamic center in Philadelphia. The Muslim American Society Islamic Center in Philadelphia posted the video on its Facebook page celebrating Ummah Day, in which young children wearing Palestinian scarves sang and read poetry about killing for Allah and the mosque in Jerusalem. Item from the Daily Caller: 3 illegal immigrants believed to be MS-13 gang members have been indicted in connection with a murder and kidnapping case. A federal grand jury in Las Vegas, Nevada, returned a 3-count indictment against Jose Luis Ronaldo Reyes Castillo, Miguel Torres Escobar, and David Arturo Perez Manchem, according to the Department of Justice press release. Unquote. My friends, when the Democrats say they want no borders, it means this is the kind of human trash they want flooding into your neighborhood. Item from the Daily Caller: a Louisiana charter school teacher who allegedly raped a 10-year-old student was released on bond Tuesday, but may face additional charges. Deidre R. Smith was charged with first-degree rape and felony indecent behavior with a juvenile after Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office received a tip from a school administrator at Lake Charles Charter Academy, the New York Post reported. Unquote. Item from Breitbart: the Muslim community in the Swedish municipality of Vaxjo has increased so dramatically, according to local leaders, that they are now planning to build a giant mosque to hold at least 1,000 people, possibly with the help of foreign backers in the Middle East. Item from Breitbart: MSNBC's top 3 shows all suffered a double-digit ratings drop in the wake of the Mueller report's exposure of the Russian collusion hoax. Meanwhile, hapless CNN, a far-left fake news network that encourages political violence against the right, failed to place even a single one of its shows in the top 25. My friends, that is a very, very good sign. Item from Breitbart: the country's top union bosses are hoping millions of American workers forget about former Vice President Joe Biden's longtime support of the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, which helped eliminate nearly 5 million U.S. manufacturing jobs. From the start, Biden has attempted to position himself in the crowded 2020 Democrat presidential primary field as a fighter for American union workers. For his first rally in Pennsylvania, Biden picked up endorsements from the union bosses with the state's United Steelworkers and the International Association of Firefighters. Unquote. My friends, it's crap. It's a lie. Biden got rid of 5 million American jobs. And when he tells you he wants to add American jobs, A, he doesn't know how. B, he doesn't care about doing that. C, he doesn't care if he eliminates millions of American jobs. Joe Biden is just one more form of cancer that the Democrats want to inject into the American bloodstream. He's a total disgrace, and here's my prediction. Joe Biden will drop out of the race because everyone sees he's a fool and an incompetent nitwit. He will drop out of the race, probably citing some kind of health issue, because after all, he's 180 years old. But he will drop out. You hold my feet to the fire on this. You call me and tell me if he doesn't. I'm confident that he will, because it's clear not only don't the American people want him, his own party wants nothing to do with him. The party doesn't want him because he's a white male. That tells you all you need to know about the party itself, the Democrats. They have no answers and nothing positive to give the American people. I'll be back tomorrow. Hasta luego, my friends. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay angry.